So we've really like covered the nitty-gritty behind it. Now I want to start one. What the heck do I do, Mark?
Yep.
And you might not have all the answers, but
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
some suggestions.
Yeah. I would say, all right. So let's say Mark Huber does not work at Metadata and he's working somewhere else and trying to start a cab. How would he tackle this? Right or wrong? Hopefully some right and very little wrong. I would say hopefully you're already talking to or making a point to talk to customers regularly. And if you are, just make note of the people that you're meeting with, maybe it's once every month or a couple months or whatever it may be. Write those names down and kind of build out a list of, hey, these are the people that I have relationships with, or these are people that other employees at the company have relationship with, and we feel they could be a good sounding board for us, and just kind of build out that list. And then what you can do is you can share that list either with your boss or your CEO, probably some combination of the two, and build out, hey, I'd like to, you can keep it simple on a 1-page Google Doc. I'd like to start a cab. Here's why. Here's what I'm hoping to get out of this cab. Here's how we can structure the cab. Here's how regularly I think we should meet. And I try to start small, like maybe not start to meet monthly right away. Maybe it's quarterly, and figure out the best way to just get it moving, because we did not learn any of this and would not have learned any of this unless we started small with our cab and, messed up along the way. So don't think that you have to get this perfectly right out of the gate. And then in time, you can get more feedback from them. You can see, maybe if you're moving up market, well, maybe you need to get more people from accounts that fit that, upper mid market or small enterprise profile, and how you'd like to refine it. And then I think the other thing that I would really recommend, and this is what I would have done right out of the gate, is figure out, once you start reaching out to these people, getting their input of, if you want to join this cab, what are you hoping to get out of it? Because we screwed up the cab in a sense that it was such a one-way street for so long that I wish we would have turned it into a two-way street earlier on, so that the cab members were getting just as much out of it as we were.
Makes total sense because, yeah, it can feel a little self-serving. You look back at it and I'm sure it's like, oh man, that was not great.
And it wasn't even intentional. It was just
Yeah,
like,
totally.
hey, this is how we think it should be set up. This is great. And then they provide the feedback of, hey, this is great for you guys, but what about us? And it's like, why didn't we think of that sooner? So yeah, that's when the light bulb goes on. And then I think the other thing would be, and this is how I've tried to get stuff approved at previous companies, and even with Jason, I think I've talked about this on previous episodes, is showing examples of what good looks like. And whether it's sending this recording to your CEO or marketing leader to listen to, or, I've looked at stuff from, I think it's Product Marketing Alliance or some of the other industry associations that have cab materials and that there are courses, there are trainings, like there's everything of just showing, hey, these are what other best in class companies are doing right now with their cab. This is how they have it structured. Even better, hey, our direct competitor has a cab. If we don't have one, let's get on that train ASAP. And really just showing them this is what good looks like, because almost 9, or I would say even 10 times out of 10, once you show a CEO or a marketing leader what good looks like, at least the ones that I've worked, they usually want to go do that right away. So if you can use social proof to build your case for starting up a cab, I think that would go a long way too.
Yeah, I think it's important, like what you said, know what great, this is true of like all things. Know what great looks like, but then don't be afraid to start small and have that as like your goal, right? Like you don't have to try to get there and have like the perfect cab and if you do that, you'll never get it off the ground. So I think understand like what a good one looks like, but I know for a fact, just by talking to you for the last half hour or whatever, that even if we had an idea of what perfect was originally when we started the cab, it's different now because we've learned stuff, customers have changed, what people want change. It's the cab, to me, the more that we talk about it, it just feels like this really like organic organism that's constantly changing.
It's so true. I think we're big on, trying to start small before you graduate on to overcomplicating it and making it very complex and sophisticated, but start with 8 to 10 of your, best customers and the best relationships that you have, and meet quarterly. Like, it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that to start. And once you get it started, you'll see what's working and what's not working. And maybe it makes sense to keep to the quarterly cadence. Maybe it makes sense to do it monthly, and you won't know until you try it.
Yeah, and you absolutely cannot go wrong by fostering relationships with your customers. You get like I
Yeah.
mean, the only downside is time. That's the only downside.
Yep.
I think it would be, I guess it would be a tough pitch, but man, I just feel like you said, most of the people that I've worked for, if it's like, hey, I want to get closer to our customers and really like learn.
Who says no to that? And if they
Right.
do, that's a red flag if I've ever heard one.
Right, absolutely. It's like, okay, alarm bell's going off. Time to try to look for somewhere else. We'll build
And
the
like
cab somewhere else.
you mentioned, getting closer to your customers. And this is something that I try to make a point to talk to customers, ideally weekly, although right now it's been a little crazy, at least one. And if you aren't already talking to your customers, go fix that. But two, this is the easiest way for you to start to do that in a really structured way and get closer to the customers.
Yeah, and even for me too, like we send out our cab calls and it allows other people at the company to listen. So even if you aren't on those meetings, you can listen to those calls on your own time. And I think that's, again, if you're looking for just another sort of additional way to pitch this, it's like, hey, I can, maybe it's one person running it, with 4, 5, 6, customers and then sharing that out to the larger group. There could be real value there if you're getting that out every quarter. So,
I
um,
think the other painful lesson learned, there have been plenty, hopefully you've gathered that from every episode so far, is there needs to be a clear owner for the cab
ooh, good
internally.
call. Good call.
Because I think where we really screwed up, hence the college project analogy, was there was this mad dash every single time to throw together an agenda the day before the meeting was supposed to take place. And you can clearly tell when there's last minute prep and there's no real clear owner. So don't just say, hey, we as a company should start a cab. Say, hey, I, Mark Huber, want to start a cab and I will be the owner, or figure out who that owner should be. Because if there's not an owner of the cab, no one's going to actually own it
Hmm.
at the end of the day. Like, co-ownership does not work for something like this. And truthfully, it really started to take off once Preston was our our owner of the cab. I I owned it beforehand, but also it was an afterthought for me at times. And this is not something that you want to, half-ass. This is a whole ass situation. And it really started to take off when we had a dedicated owner.
Yeah, that's I A, can't believe we almost missed that, and B, absolutely. Yeah, with any project that I've been involved in ever, if they're co-owners or no owners, or even like back to the good old college days, like nothing's getting done. Nothing's
Yep.
getting done. You end up volunteering your own time for that. So, well,
I
awesome.
could agree.